The famous prayer of Saint Francis exclaims, "It is in pardoning that we are pardoned." And for me, the work of Byron Katie is a way to understand this. Let's start with what it feels like not to pardon, not to forgive someone. Right off the bat, I can say it hurts not to forgive someone. It may hurt the other person too, but not nearly as much as it hurts me. The offense could be something very small, but it still hurts not to forgive. For example, a vendor at our farmer's market thought I had taken some walnut oil without paying it for it, and I couldn't forgive her for doubting me. The result was a tightness in my chest and a fearful feeling in my stomach. My peace had been disturbed. I would even look the other way, avoiding eye contact with her after that for some weeks. All this was my clue that I needed to do the work. So I wrote out my judgments about this woman on a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And when I worked through it, using the 4 questions and turnarounds of the work, I found that the source of my discomfort was my inability to forgive her. My judging, condemning, and pushing away of her is what was hurting me, not what she did to me. That is why pardoning is freeing. Forgiving someone is a nice gift to the person you are pardoning, but it is a much nicer gift to yourself. Because as long as you still hold on to something that someone did to hurt you, so long as you feel the pain and depression, so long you will feel the pain and even depression. The work of Byron Katie is concerned with one thing and one thing only: your internal peace. So don't forgive someone in order to do the right thing. Do it simply because you prefer peace. But forgiving is not always easy. Sometimes people do hurtful things that seem unforgivable. And I invite you to challenge yourself to see if you can find forgiveness no matter how badly you've been wronged. Your peace depends on it. Here's how the work helps with forgiveness. The work takes us step by step towards forgiveness. First of all, the work allows the tantrum. This is real freedom in allowing yourself to vent your blame onto a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. Just doing that is the beginning of forgiveness, to allow your stressful thoughts to have a voice on paper. As long as they're bottled up and shut down inside of you, then forgiveness is a long, long way away, almost impossible. So this first step allows that tantrum to come out so that it has a chance to begin the process of being dealt with. Secondly, the work does a kind of compare contrast analysis of so that you can experience what it feels like to believe a non-forgiving thought or to be without it. This is like a test. Analysis is probably not the right word, but it's a test. Compare, contrast, who are you with the thought, "She wrongly accused me," and who are you without the thought, "She wrongly accused me." This is what question 4 of the work are all about. Without the thought, I feel normal and fine inside. With the thought, I feel stress. Seeing this cause and effect, with the thought, I have this stress. Without the thought, less stress. It makes it much easier to consider forgiving someone, because after all, it's in my best interest emotionally. So what I find with questions 3 and 4 is it loosens my attachment to the thought. My thought is, "She wrongly accused me," and I'm attached. But when I see with the thought it's stressful, without the thought it would be less stressful, I'm more open to considering other ways of looking at it than "she wrongly accused me." Thirdly, the work then helps us find our part in things. This is where the turnarounds to the self and to the other lead. For example, I found that I was impatient and I was immature by leaving money on the table when the walnut vendor had probably gone for a bathroom break. I could have given the money to a neighboring vendor if I wanted to be more responsible, or I could have waited until she came back. When I find my part, it's hard to stay angry at the other person. And finally, the work invites us to consider that the opposite could be just as true. For example, she didn't accuse me. Maybe that's true. I found when I looked at this, it was possible that she was simply inquiring. And as I looked more closely, I found that she was actually a kind and fairly gentle in her asking. The rest was my ego screaming and blowing it up into something larger. So when you look at these opposites, it can be interesting to start to see what is the actual reality and what is my interpretation and my exaggeration of the situation. People from the Course in Miracles often say that forgiveness is seeing that what you thought happened didn't happen. Even the worst criminal, if you look at it objectively, was acting out of his or her best understanding of the options at the time. So seeing another person's innocence is forgiveness. You may have or may have had some tough characters in your life. The work invites you to look more closely at these characters. Can you find their innocence? If you can, it is a direct way to set your own heart free. I think this was the intention of St. Francis with his prayer.